It's a name that carries with it a proud history. AXA Equitable is setting standards for success. "25-year-old Henry Hyde founded the Equitable Life Assurance Society and ran it from a single room on Broadway in New York City. More than 150 years later, that room has been replaced by a larger headquarters. But AXA Equitable is still in the heart of Manhattan.
AXA Equitable was established in 1859. We are a financial protection company. Started in life insurance, and we now sell annuity product, 401k, 403b products, and a well-established, well-known company.
Almost from the start, AXA Equitable employed technology to enhance its core business of insurance. In the mid-19th century, the company employed a primitive copy machine called the multiple writing machine. And ever since, embracing new technology has remained a key to AXA's business strategy.
Regarding technology, what we've been doing here over the last few years is really reworking and redirecting our technology to a strategic direction that aligns to our business. Really being able to support much more life and annuity products into the marketplace.
Of course, in today's insurance industry, technology is commonplace. Just about everyone uses computers to communicate, but they don't all do it the same way.
The only way you could transact business from a third party to a manufacturer or carrier like AXA is by building proprietary pipelines, which as a number of firms grew in which you were doing business with, that became really unmanageable to do business.
The worst scenario is proprietary to proprietary. We use banks, we use wirehouses, we use individual financial planners. And through that distribution channel, it gets very, very complex as you're trading data both on products and servicing products in those channels.
AXA Equitable realized that it was inefficient and costly to use a unique and specialized language to speak to each of its partners. The search for a solution led AXA to adopt data standards.
Any data standards that you can have both internally, and hopefully our external partners have followed the data standards as well, is a huge plus for us. Saves us money, saves us time.
We look towards, a much more scalable solution, which were built on ACORD standards.
How did AXA Equitable arrive at using ACORD standards?
Some of the initiatives that led us to using ACORD standards and ACORD as the way to go was primarily around an enablement of our reference architecture. The reference architecture was something we established about 5 years ago when Kevin Murray became the CIO of AXA Equitable.
Through my career, I have looked for help with data standards wherever I could, whether it was ANSI or ACORD. So certainly knew of them from my previous job as a CIO, how it could help us.
ACORD was known to me as being certainly a domestic U.S. standard around messaging and definition and semantics in the insurance industry, not just in life and annuity, but actually in property and casualty and other lines as well.
It's so difficult to get everyone to agree on data standards, and ACORD does a great job in facilitating that and mediating that data standard.
We felt that ACORD, because it was non-specific, it was industry-wide, and it was not proprietary to any one technology, would be an ideal choice. Additionally, because it was XML-based and self-describing, it would fit nicely in with our technology strategy, which was an XML-oriented strategy.
XML is at the core of AXA Equitable's reference architecture and ACORD standard messages. When it came to implementation of the standards, that was a big help.
I would say it's a relatively easy process. We have a strong reference architecture that all applications are built towards. We have a heavy investment in an enterprise integration bus.
John Rivett is a senior information officer. He and his team are working to standardize internal integration for AXA's life products.
Within the life space, we go through from the sales process, new business process, to in-force administration. Within AXA, we have a whole plethora of systems, and in terms of straight-through processing, we actually want all of those systems to talk to each other. So we're using ACORD standards through a service-oriented architecture to actually get all of those applications to actually talk to each other.
AXA is also incorporating ACORD into its relationships with external partners.
Using ACORD as our common language in and out of the organization with vendors is very fruitful. We have part of our selection processes in making sure that they're able to comply with ACORD standards in terms of integration.
What we've started to do is to make ACORD standards actually part of our contracts so that all of our vendors are starting to use ACORD standards.
I think the vendors in general understood that ACORD was the future in this space, that XML was going to be the lingua franca of integration, and so that they were very willing partners, I believe, in working with us to help evolve their products.
ACORD standards also play a role in the annuity space. AXA uses ACORD's PPFA as a tool to define and sell its annuity products.
The IT side of the organization has done a real genuine job in adopting these standards that are out there, implementing them, and really being, I think, industry advocates of having this information standardized and transacted both internally and externally. I know that our implementations of ACORD are across the board, and I can see that as a industry competitive edge.
AXA Equitable seeks to expand that competitive edge and looks forward to future growth and success.
And what ACORD does for us is provide that forum for consensus and agreement. And AXA cannot do that alone. It's very important that we have an industry body that's facilitating that.
Primarily the business benefit around this is speed to market. We're able to get product out through those distribution channels using the ACORD standards faster and at a lower cost. I consider it a win-win if we follow the ACORD standards and we're trading data externally with someone who's followed them as well.
A history of adopting innovative technologies has made AXA Equitable a leader in life and annuities. Implementing ACORD standards is helping position the company for future growth in a competitive global marketplace. For AXA Equitable, the sky's the limit.